Are you looking for something to do in Nassau that doesn't require a second mortgage on your house?
Seriously, Royal Caribbean just opened that new Royal Beach Club at Paradise Island, and while it looks totally amazing, what is not amazing is that it costs $200 a person. That adds up fast for a family.
We're back home after spending 7 nights on the Symphony of the Seas, and we did a completely DIY day in port for a fraction of that cost. We're showing you one way you can visit Nassau to see some landmarks, sample some amazing food along with a great hidden gem, and wrapping it all up with a visit to the world-famous straw market.
But we're also being honest about the challenges, like the sidewalks that made us glad we brought a walking stick. In this video, we're showing you how to see the best of Nassau without breaking the bank.
Fun in the sun, adventure begins. Welcome to the cruise course.
Before we even step foot outside the gates, we have to talk about the Nassau Cruise Port itself. It recently underwent a massive $300 million renovation, and the difference is night and day. It is a beautiful, clean, and organized space that really gives a great first impression when you get off the ship.
One of the biggest highlights is the massive 22 by 45 foot LED screen they have at the arrivals gate. When we were here last fall, the screen was running this incredible 3D underwater scene. You'd see these massive sea turtles, manta rays, and jellyfish drifting by, and then suddenly a shark would appear and look like it was literally breaking the glass and lunging right off the screen at you. It's an amazing effect when it's working. It's definitely a cool photo op, but unfortunately, we didn't get to show it to my mom because it wasn't working the day we were there. It just goes to show that travel is full of surprises, and you have to be ready to roll with whatever happens on the day you visit.
You're so right, Jason. It reminds me of that San Juan Port Day we were so excited for, where it poured the entire time. Stay tuned for that story in an upcoming video. Before you even leave the port, you need to know the truth about the streets. While the port area is beautiful, once you head downtown, the sidewalks are a different story. The traffic is very busy and there was a lot of honking. You have to stay alert and watch your step every second.
We encountered crumbled concrete, warped paths, and sections that were so narrow or obstructed we had to walk right next to traffic or even into the street itself. So the cruise course tip here is to bring a walking stick like I did, and honestly it was a lifesaver. If you have any mobility concerns, this is a must-have for walking around Nassau.
For sure. Now let's get to our first stop, which was just a short walk to Parliament Square. These pink and white buildings are the seat of the Bahamian government and the House of Assembly. It's a beautiful spot for photos, and right in the center of the square is a statue of Queen Victoria.
From here, it's also a short walk, although part of it uphill, to the Queen's Staircase. This is a free-to-visit, must-see site, but it's also important to know the history. Carved from solid limestone by enslaved people in 1793, the original 66 steps provided the soldiers with a strategic, direct route from Fort Fincastle down to the city. It was later named in honor of Queen Victoria, who ended slavery in the British Empire.
Yes, and this 18th century landmark offers a cool scenic oasis, framed by tropical plants, a small waterfall, and if you look closely, you can still see some of the axe marks along the side of the staircase. This area is very welcoming and shaded with stone benches that you can rest on, making it feel very lush and relaxing. It's so relaxing that we even found a local dog taking a nap right by the rocks. After going up the staircase, sadly, Fort Fincastle was still closed for renovations, but the staircase in itself is still something everyone should experience. If the fort is actually open when you visit, you should definitely pay the small fee to go inside because we've heard it offers some fantastic views of the harbor. We haven't been able to get inside yet, but as soon as it reopens, we'll definitely be going.
Next up was a fairly long walk over to the Bahamas rum cake factory. When you get there, they have several different flavors you can sample, which really helps because they all smell amazing. We ended up choosing a vacuum seal pack to take home, and if you're worried about cruise rules, don't be worried. So the cruise course tip here for food-related souvenirs is that these are perfectly fine to bring back on the ship and take off at the end of the cruise because they are factory sealed.
Being from Kentucky, we were surprised to find out they make a Kentucky bourbon rum cake right there in Nassau. It felt like a little piece of home in the Bahamas. Also, if you buy a cake, you get a free shot of rum next door. Jason was the only one who really drank his because it was way too strong for his mom and me. Let's just say it was a very warm welcome for him, even if the rest of us passed on it.
Now, if you have more energy than we did that day, there is another fantastic DIY area you can visit. It's a bit of a hike from the rum cake factory, so we'd recommend grabbing a quick taxi to the Graycliff Heritage Village. Once you're up on the hill, you can walk through Umbrella Lane, which is a street covered in colorful hanging umbrellas, perfect for photos. We spent some time at the chocolatier tasting everything from differently flavored chocolates to dessert wine to their signature moonshine, and we even got to watch skilled rollers handcrafting cigars right in the factory. Also nearby is John Watling's Distillery, which is a historic estate that offers free tours and tastings of their Bahamian rums.
On a previous trip to Nassau, we did those tastings that Jason mentioned and ended up buying some delicious Graycliff chocolates, a bottle of dessert wine, and some chocolate moonshine. Now, for the honest truth, Jace loved the sample of the plain moonshine they gave him, but I convinced him to buy the chocolate version because it used Graycliff chocolate. And, well, let us just say that was a mistake because neither of us liked it. So, in hindsight, we should have stuck with the plain moonshine.
Yes, Karen, we should have stuck with the one I wanted to buy. We will definitely need to go back again so I can buy the moonshine I wanted.
We will, I promise. Oh, and the cruise course tip here is to keep in mind that any alcohol you buy in port, you won't be able to take it back to your cabin. When you board the ship, you will have to check it in with ship security, and they will hold it for you until the final night of the cruise. Now, we could have stopped here this time, but we were really excited to try out the new Duff, so Jason drank that free rum shot. And
yes, that rum shot did burn and was hot, but tasted really good. So now our next destination was a new place to us called the New Duff. However, it would have been quite a hike for us from the rum cake factory. So the staff there were actually kind enough to recommend and call someone to come pick us up. It was a little strange that it was a bus that came, but it turned out to be a very nice ride where we were the only ones on board. The cruise course tip we have here is to always ask what the price will be before you ever get into a bus or a taxi. Our driver gave us a price of $15 to $20 for the three of us, which we were happy with, but we quickly realized he didn't actually know where we were going.
it turns out our driver had never heard of the new Duff, and while I knew it was back past the cruise port, none of the locals he stopped to ask along the way knew it existed either. He actually stopped multiple times to try and get directions. I didn't really want to turn my phone on at first because I wasn't 100% sure what our Verizon plan covered, and I didn't want a massive roaming bill. So the cruise course tip here has to be to check your phone plan for international use before you leave home, and to write down any addresses to places you want to visit, or take a quick screenshot of the address and map while you're still on the ship's Wi-Fi. Eventually, I had to take the risk and turn off airplane mode to pull up the address. Luckily, I got a text saying our plan included some free international days, so I was able to pull up the address on my phone and show him exactly what the building looked like so we could get there.
So I guess you can truly say that the New Duff really was a hidden gem, and the very first thing we had when we arrived was their lavender lemonade, which was so good and the perfect refreshing drink to have after all our walking earlier.
Funny, but yes, Jason, the new Duff was a hidden gem that is ironically also famous for its modernized take on a Bahamian staple. The traditional guava duff is considered the national dessert of the Bahamas. It is a steamed pudding that's usually boiled in a cloth, but here they make that traditional duff dough from scratch right on site and infuse it with different flavors. It really is a great place to stop, and they do serve breakfast all day, so you can get their amazingly delicious Nassau cinnamon rolls anytime you want. I have to say, we all absolutely fell in love with that cinnamon roll. It was so good that we would honestly return to Nassau just for another one of those.
We also tried their savory stuffed buns, which are like a local twist on a steamed bao bun. I got the tuna salad stuffed bun and ate most of the roasted vegetable one because it was a bit too spicy for my mom. Karen also tried the jerk chicken stuffed bun, which she said was delicious. And of course, you have to try the actual guava duff here because it is very tasty with that guava baked right inside the dough. Being able to see them making that Duff dough while you wait for your food really adds to the experience.
You are exactly right, Jason. The jerk chicken was delicious just like the guava Duff was. But once we finished our food, we started looking for a ride back to the port. The staff then suggested we walk up the road to Arawak Cay, where we could find plenty of taxis willing to take us back.
Well, don't forget about the sidewalks though, because the sidewalk on the same side as the cafe was a bit rough and missing in certain areas. So we did cross the road to the other side where the path was much easier to navigate.
Although, in all honesty, it was still a bit scary because of tree branches blocking the sidewalk and traffic that was right next to us and constantly going. But it did end up only being a 300-meter walk, or about 5 minutes of walking time to actually get there.
Arawak Cay, or its better known name, the Fish Fry, is an area that has a huge cluster of colorful local restaurants and bars where you can get authentic Bahamian food like cracked conch salad, and freshly fried fish. Since we had just eaten, we didn't stop to eat here, but it's a great place to walk through just to see the vibrant atmosphere, and we will probably plan a trip here the next time we come to Nassau. We did find a taxi here and were able to get a ride to the straw market for the three of us for only 15 bucks.
The straw market is right at the port entrance, so it was the perfect final stop for some souvenirs. But I do have to warn you, it is a bit of a mix. You'll see a lot of mass-produced items like t-shirts and plastic toys that are the same at almost every stall, but if you look past those, you can still find vendors selling traditional hand-woven straw hats and bags along with some really nice wood carvings.
Right, and you definitely want to be prepared to haggle. As you walk through, the vendors are very active. We had several people call out prices for shirts or trinkets, and then almost immediately offer a lower price before we even said a word. My mom actually found a really cute polished stone turtle to take home, and then it was just a quick crossing of the street, go through the gates, and an easy walk back through the port area and onto the ship. It was a full day of exploring, but we saw so much more than we would have on a standard excursion for a lot less money.
So, did we need that second mortgage? Not even close. We managed to experience some of Nassau's history, try some incredible local food, and do some shopping, all while staying well within our budget.
Before we go, let's do a quick recap of the cruise course tips we covered today so you can plan your own perfect Nassau day.
Tip number 1 was to bring a walking stick if you have mobility concerns. Tip number 2 reminds you that only factory-sealed food can be taken back onto the ship as souvenirs. With tip number 3, we recommend that you always agree on a taxi or bus price before you get in.
Yep, great tips. So let's continue with tip number 4, which reminds you to check out your phone plan ahead of time to see if you have coverage built in for international phone use, and if not, a great workaround is to screenshot your addresses and maps before you get off the ship. And finally, with tip number 5, we want you to be prepared to check any alcohol purchases with your ship's security when you get back on board.
If you found this DIY guide helpful, please hit that like button and let us know in the comments what your favorite spot in Nassau is. We have more from our Symphony of the Seas trip coming soon, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching the cruise course. May your seas be smooth and your adventures unforgettable. Until next time.
And don't forget, for savvy cruising, we're your source, and we'll see you on the next cruise course.